Sahih Al-Bukhari is arguably one of the most renowned and accepted Hadith books among Muslims. Like any other work that has received such attention, Sahih Al-Bukhari has had its fair share of valid and not so valid criticism. We, Ahlussunnah, have no issue scrutinizing Sahih Al-Bukhari along with its claims, and a great example of this phenomenon is the great Sunni Hadith critic Daraqutni. Al-Daraqutni in his book Al-Ilzamat wal-Tatabbu has criticized a few reports in the two Sahihs while also addressing a few other issues pertaining to the two books. Similarly, the great Hadith critic Ibn Ammar al-Shaheed also authored a book criticizing a few reports found in Sahih Muslim. As evident, Sunni scholarship has always been open to the idea of holding our primary sources to the strictly objective standards of textual criticism. However, it is unfortunate that Sahih Al-Bukhari today is often slandered and criticized with invalid points that merely reflect the ignorance of many contemporary skeptics. Often the objections presented display a lack of understanding of Bukhari's methodology, the Hadith sciences, or both combined. In this video, we shall present to the viewer a few examples of such inconsistencies and baseless objections, while showing why such objections are worthless. In the example we are about to present, a Shia polemicist from Bayt al-Ghadir attempts to argue that Bukhari purposely tampered with a report by omitting key elements from it.
This hadith. Now we're going to be showing what did Bukhari remove from this hadith. Now, this hadith is saying there was a no-name dearer to Ali ibn Abi Talib than his nickname, Abu Turab. He used to feel happy whenever he was called by this name. Once Allah's messenger came to the house of Fatima Zahra but did not find Ali in the house. So he asked, "Where is your cousin?" She replied, "There was something between us," whereupon he got angry with me and went out without having a midday nap in my house. Allah's messenger asked the person to look for it. That person came and said, "O Allah's messenger, he is sleeping in the mosque." Allah's messenger went there and found him lying. His rida, which is his cloak, had fallen down to one side of his body, and so he was covered with dust. Allah's messenger started cleaning the dust from him and saying, "Get up, O Abu Turab, get up, O Abu Turab." As you can see, brothers and sisters, two hadiths, two of the same narrators within both hadiths, but two completely different contexts. Why didn't Bukhari show the section where Bani Umayyah were cursing Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam? Why the dishonesty? Why the inconsistency?
As seen, the premise is that Bukhari had purposefully hidden a controversial element of the report. However, his whole argument merely demonstrates his ignorance and lack of research. Bukhari does, in fact, on another occasion, list the whole report along with the section where Banu Umayyah were presented cursing Ali. In report number 3703, Bukhari transmits the whole report without any omissions. Thus, the argument that Bukhari was supposedly trying to hide the controversial element of the report is blatantly fallacious. Though the academic dishonesty in Bayt al-Ghadir's video is apparent, the viewer may ask, why did Bukhari omit the phrase from the other account? The answer to that question is clear. Simply looking at the chapter headings under which the reports are listed is enough to dispel any misunderstandings. The reason why this is the case is because many reports are repeatedly mentioned throughout the Sahih. In fact, the repetitions in Sahih Al-Bukhari are around 3,000 in number. Thus, Bukhari often only quotes excerpts from the reports that are relevant to the chapter heading he has listed. This is well known and acknowledged in Sunni scholarly circles. Thus, if we refer to the chapter heading where the polemicist claims that Bukhari tampered with the report, we see that it is called Midday Nap in the Mosque. Thus, Bukhari under this chapter only lists the relevant excerpt of the report, and the cursing of Ali on the pulpit is simply irrelevant to the chapter heading listed. However, Bukhari lists the entire report under the chapter heading pertaining to the virtues and merits of Ali ibn Abi Talib radhiyallahu anhu. Thus, it is quite ironic that Bayt al-Ghadir attempt to discredit Bukhari on an occasion where he was, in fact, dispersing the virtues of Ali and Ahlul Bayt. In this example, the same Shia polemicist from Bayt al-Ghadir attempts to argue that Bukhari openly tampered with a report pertaining to wudu.
And the second fallacy, where Bukhari has swapped the word masaha with the word dhakara.
As you can see in the scan, all of the isnads from the three books converge back to the transmitter, Shu'bah bin al-Hajjaj, underlined in red here. The three authors, however, transmit the report from different transmitters up to Shu'bah. Bukhari transmits it from Adam bin Abi Iyas from Shu'bah, At-Tabri transmits it from Ibn al-Muthanna from Wahab bin Jarir from Shu'bah, and At-Tayalisi directly transmits it from Shu'bah. Thus, this slight variation in the wording of the report is a very common phenomenon and a natural occurrence in the oral transmission, As evident, the meaning of the three different accounts is identical. In fact, Ibn Hajar in his commentary on Bukhari states that this variation is due to the transmitter Adam bin Abi Iyas. Thus, it is academically dishonest to attack Bukhari on an occasion where 1. He was not the source of variation in wording, and 2. The meanings of the account have not been distorted. In this video, the desperate polemicist again desperately attempts to prove that Bukhari tampered with the report by supposedly omitting a controversial phrase.
Distortion, Bukhari has done it once again, distorted an important section of the Hadith. Why didn't he mention the part when Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam called Abu Bakr and Ammar sinful, dishonest, treacherous liars? Why the dishonesty or why the inconsistency?
The polemicist again demonstrates his lack of research on the topic. Bukhari was not the only one to transmit this report in the aforementioned manner. Rather, Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, Abu Ya'la and others transmit the report without the phrase Bukhari was accused of omitting. Thus, it cannot be said that Bukhari is the source of this supposed variation, and as usual, the explanation behind the existence of the variation in the texts is a bit more impartial and nuanced than the shallow and pretentious accusation that is brought forth. Ibn Hajar in fact addresses this variation in his commentary on Sahih Al-Bukhari. He states that the source of this variation are transmitters higher in the chain who essentially transmitted the full account on some occasions, and in other times they transmit it without the explicit phrase. If Bukhari wanted to hide the fact that the companions disagreed and sometimes even upset each other, then there'd be no point in transmitting this report in the first place, which displays an entire dispute that occurred between Ammar, Ali and Al-Abbas. In conclusion, though we have no problem evaluating and scrutinizing Sahih Al-Bukhari along with its claims, many of the accusations brought forth today are simply desperate, immature and academically dishonest attempts to defame the book and its author.